What's up, everybody? Excited to be here today with Tyler. This is the third of a lot of interviews. I'm hoping to just be an interview channel for a while. So how are you doing, Tyler?
Good, Jack. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. And so you have a YouTube channel that you're running, and you do videos about dropshipping. What is it exactly you do on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I do videos for dropshipping, trying to teach people kind of the method that I use now, which I've talked to you a little bit about before, but it's sort of a bulk method, but it's like the bulk optimized method where the items are really filtered. And I do use the same title as Amazon, but they are items that already have a sales history on eBay. So I teach my method of dropshipping. And all of the information is free. I was going to create a course, but then I read a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crushing It. And basically in that book, he talks about how you should just give away everything you know for free and let the universe kind of reward you later. So
that's good to do both. That's why I
yeah, for sure. I mean, of course,
they can, but you can still benefit.
Yeah, and I actually took a look at your course, and the amount of effort it takes to be organized in that course, you should be rewarded for that. I just like to get on and talk about one subject at a time. So, I'm giving away information, but I'm kind of doing it the way I want to do it too. So that's kind of why I don't charge for it.
Makes sense. And that makes you special. So I'm sure that people want to hear more about the dropshipping stuff, but we'll get into that a bit later on in the call. Okay. Usually, what I want to start with these interviews is kind of identify the forces present in people's life, particularly in their later childhoods, that kind of thing, that kind of led them to be where they are now. So a great place to start is usually, where were you born and what do your parents do?
Yeah, so I was born in Richmond, Virginia, but then we moved down here when I was 3 for my dad's job. Mm-hmm. He's been in the same industry pretty much his entire life. He's in sales. He deals with hazardous waste materials, so he goes into factories, gives them quotes, whatever. So he travels a lot, but he's always been a hustler. He didn't go to college, but he's really successful. So that's kind of the guy that I looked up to, being a sales guy, whatever. And then with my childhood, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she was always taking care of us. Yeah, so in terms of how I feel like my mindset is with business and stuff like that, it really was his entrepreneurial mind when it came to his sales job. And yeah,
that's awesome. It's good to be raised in an environment where that's a thing,
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people think of sales when they work for somebody else as a desk job, but if you're in legitimate sales where you get commission and all of that, it really is like you're building your own business, your own book of business. So like I said, that's probably kind of where I got my entrepreneurial mindset from, was always looking up to him. But
yeah, that's definitely, it's important to have an incentive to perform better, that you're in most jobs, if you do better, you don't necessarily get paid more. But having that incentive, so that if you apply yourself to fix a problem, benefits the company, but also benefits you, I think is something that more businesses should adopt. But tell me more about your dad. So what did you think of his job as a kid, right? Because I'm sure you have opinions now of what things were like, but was he around much? Did you spend a lot of time with him, or was he not around much? What was that like?
Yeah, no, he was around probably 70% of the time, and 30% of the time he was traveling. So but here's the thing, he always made sure that he was coaching my baseball team, or my soccer team, or whatever it was. He was always trying to be involved and coach. So I'm really lucky in that regard that I had a dad who was actually there to kind of help me develop and help me grow and into the person I am today, which a lot of people aren't as lucky to have that. So I definitely give him I attribute a lot of my success from him developing me into the person that I am. But
that's awesome. Yeah. So what was high school like for you? That's always another interesting point in a lot of Americans' lives, at least.
Man, high school was interesting. So it's kind of funny. I came in to ninth grade. First of all, I played AAU basketball 7th through 10th grade, and I played on the basketball team at school in 10th grade. But I came into high school as kind of this I was in such an awkward phase, man. I wanted to be like this rapper, and I was like this white kid who wanted to be a rapper. I was also like fat, I mean, I'm overweight now, but I'll get to that in a second. But I was like 210 pounds in ninth grade at 5'8", 5'9", whatever. And then I actually became a cross country runner, and I became, I got third in the region for high school cross country, 4A So I went from being like this fat kid in ninth grade to my 11th grade year being able to run a 16:25 5K and like a 4-minute 30-second mile. It was insane how I just literally developed into that. And that's kind of how like everyone who knows me describes me, is I go from 0 to 100. So it's like I'll start something, get really good at it, and then typically I fall off. With dropshipping, I haven't fallen off yet, but with cross country, I started experiencing like some injuries, whatever, that kind of kept me from training. And then I got back my 12th grade year into cross country season, and I went from being first on the team in states to our first race, I didn't even like place in the top 10. So, and it was because I didn't train, like I didn't go to physical therapy, all of that. And honestly, I don't know if you can tell the way I talk about it, but it's kind of like a disappointment. Like it still lingers sometimes, because I was getting college letters, all of that, to run at schools or to just at least have interest for me to come to a visit. Yeah. And then all of that just like stopped. So
that must have been a bit crushing.
Yeah, it was for sure. I ended up graduating high school like a semester early, so I could focus on just like working. And I just didn't really I had a girlfriend at the time. Like we had been together since the beginning of my 11th grade year. I had a girlfriend, but I still graduated early. I just kind of wanted to get out of high school. The whole like going from the best to the like not the best was an ego crusher, right? So I felt like I wanted to work. I wanted to get ready for college and whatever. So I graduated a semester early, worked at a restaurant, and I actually ended up getting let go from that job. So not too proud about that, but it was interesting. So yeah, that was my high school experience.
So what did you do for like when you weren't at school? Did you have any particular hobby that wasn't like running or wasn't related to school? What did your life outside of school look like in high school?
Yeah, so I had a group of 6 people that I pretty much did everything with, and we would just, go to do random stuff, whatever. I didn't take a sip of alcohol not a sip of alcohol, but I didn't have a drink until I was 19. So I didn't drink in high school, anything like that. So a lot of the social stuff, like the parties that, people go to in high school, stuff like that, I didn't want to partake in that. The way I was raised, my parents were just so against all of that, and we were kind of like sheltered a little bit. So I just really, what it was is we would just go do random stuff, go to free concerts or whatever.
Yeah, so you had a group of friends that you spent time with.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a girlfriend, like I said, for 11th and 12th grade year, where we were pretty much spending like every day together. So it was like one of those relationships where we had a friend group, but we kind of isolated ourselves too, which is kind of, looking back on it, I wish I had not done that, because it kind of, it held me back a little bit, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's it. And also one of my hobbies, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my videos, but I play poker. And I only play like every once in a while now, but back when it was online, like you could play on like PokerStars or Full Tilt or those big sites, I used to play a lot. So I would come home from school, play some tournaments, whatever. And that's kind of what my hobbies were like running, poker, and pretty much my girlfriend. Like that was my life.
And so when you visited, to step away from the chronological series here, when you visited Nicaragua and visited Mark, did you guys play poker? Because he really liked poker.
I went and played. He wanted to go play, but he actually never got the chance to because his girlfriend's pregnant and all that.
Yeah, he's busy.
He was pretty much occupied like every. I don't know if he was occupied, but he just didn't feel like going, I guess. And so I went to the Princess Casino and I played some poker while I was there. And the first night I was there, I won $1,000, and the second night I played, I lost $1,000. So I ended up like breaking dead even. But it was fun.
That's cool.
It was fun.
So you mentioned college. What was that like? Did you have an experience of trying to get into colleges and get accepted? What went on there?
So I never really was like an academic person, I guess you could say. Like I never really cared about learning or my grades until I would say probably my junior year of college. That's when I actually realized, all right, the real world is about to hit me. I need to get stuff in order. So when I was applying to colleges, I applied to a few, and I got like the ones I really wanted to go to, like College of Charleston was a big one. I got denied from there.
Charleston, West Virginia?
No, Charleston, South Carolina.
South Carolina, gotcha.
Yeah, the nice one. No, I'm just kidding. I've never been to Charleston, West Virginia, so I couldn't say. But yeah, so I got denied from there. That was kind of like, all right, whatever. But then I went and visited this school down in Florida called Flagler. It's called Flagler College, and it's in St. Augustine, which is like the oldest city in America.
I actually know someone who went there.
Nice. So I went there for a semester. It's kind of weird. Like I was still dating that girl at the time, and she ended up going to University of Tennessee. And we, like, I don't know why, but I had like the most miserable time trying to adjust to being, I guess, A, in a long distance relationship, B, being away from home for the first time. And I just always, like I said, I always like kind of isolated myself in high school to where I was just with a small group of friends. And it was really hard to branch out in a small school environment because the school only has like, I want to say like 2,000 people, maybe around that. The school is really small. So it was hard for me to branch out and like make friends or whatever in that environment, right? So I ended up transferring back up to UNC Charlotte, which is Charlotte's my hometown.
And that was for your second semester of college.
So second semester, yeah, exactly. I mean, St. Augustine's a beautiful city and all that, but it just, like I said, I just had this weird time adjusting. So I ended up going to UNC Charlotte, and I joined a fraternity. I figured that was the best way to, and also I became single too for like the first time over Christmas break. So we broke up like over Christmas break when I had already transferred back to UNC Charlotte. And then like I just needed to do something to kind of awaken like my social life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I joined a fraternity, and honestly, that was probably, a lot of people like talk bad about fraternities, whatever, but I would say that was like the biggest thing for me that kind of broke me out of my shell and really developed me into the person that I am today. Because the thing is you learn to deal with so many different people when you're in like a group of like 60 guys.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many confrontations, so many things that happen that you just kind of like learn how to work with people. So that was cool for sure. But yeah, and then it took me one semester extra to graduate. So I graduated in 4.5 years from college. And actually my first, not my first, but I guess my like one I'm probably most proud of, because the other one was a poker related affiliate business back in the day when I was like 16, and I was not supposed to be doing it because I was underage. But my first real business started in college. Like I've always been doing little side hustles to make money, you know, like the typical lemonade stand kid, whatever. Yeah. I did that at my brother's baseball games, all that, did that down the street. But what I did is I was looking at ways to make money, and I found this posting on Craigslist, and this person wanted someone to be like a representative to buy back textbooks at colleges, and they provide you the money, and then they sell the book on Amazon, and I got commission based on the dollar value of books that I bought. So there were like different tier systems. So if you buy like $10,000 worth of books, you get 5%. You know, if you buy $20,000 worth of books, you get 10%. So there was an incentive to like buy more and more books, right?
Scale up.
Yeah, exactly. Scale up. So really, if you think about the way that the college textbook business works, you really only have 2 weeks to buy the textbooks. So you have to buy as many as you can and like figure out a way to scale as quickly as you can so that a 2-week period you're buying up as many books as you can. But what I ended up doing was I actually was one of the top in the country for this company that was buying back textbooks. What I ended up doing was hiring fraternity brothers on commission. So I was at like a 15% tier where, you know, I bought a $100 textbook back. I made $15.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I hired the fraternity brothers and gave them a 7.5% commission. Yeah. So they were going around knocking on doors and, you know, it was sick. It was like, I realized the power of outsourcing. Delegating. Yeah. I mean, I literally sat in an office in the fraternity house while people just brought me books, and I just had like, I had like $10,000 in cash on me, and when people came to me out and like, hey, I ran out of money, I need another $1,000 to go buy books, you know, I just handed to them. Like I just had that much trust for my fraternity brothers. But that was like the first business that I actually had to like kind of manage people, and yeah.
That's really cool.
It was fun. It was fun.
And so this was towards the end of your college term?
That was my my sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you graduate.
Yeah.
And then what?
So I graduated in December of 2014. And I was doing this internship at the time at it was a private equity firm, and they were dealing with delinquent loans, like loans on commercial properties or whatever, right? So that was my first step into like real estate and learning about real estate, especially like the finance side of real estate. And I did not have, I applied to so many places, man. Like, I don't know did you go to college?
Sort of.
Sort of?
I didn't graduate.
Okay. So when you're at the end of your college and you're not the person that has like an internship that leads into a full-time job, which mine was not, I was applying to like 10 to 15 places a day, like on Indeed, and like reaching out to recruiters and all of that for the last like month and a half of school. And nothing actually like worked out. It was really competitive to like try to get a job, you know, right out of school, whatever. But I stayed at that internship for 2 months, and then I finally got a full-time like real job at a startup, which was pretty sweet. It's kind of funny because it was like it was a weird environment where everyone, it was basically like a fraternity house. That's how like the job seemed. Everyone was like super fratty, came from, you know, SEC schools, whatever. Yeah. And it was just like, people were clowning around all day. So it was a comfortable environment to be in. But I learned a lot while I was there, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was like a good environment for like professionalism at the time. Yeah, exactly. And everyone was like always miserable because they were having to stay late because it was a startup, and, you know, like you mentioned earlier, you don't get paid more you don't get rewarded in any sense for being the last one there. Yeah. And they were promising like big bonuses, and those never got paid out. So
it sounds very startup-y.
Yeah, it was. And I just ended up leaving and getting a job at Extended Stay America, the hotel chain. Yeah. And I was an FP&A, financial planning and analysis. I was an analyst. And I worked directly under the treasurer, which was a really good experience. I got to actually sit in with the CFO. We did a cost-cutting project together where, you know, I went through and with 2 other people, and we actually got to look at a budget and like determine what we could actually take out, you know, how can we cut costs, whatever.
Make it more
so efficient. That was really, I mean, and you're looking at, the crazy thing is you're looking at millions and millions of dollars, right? Like our whole goal was to get out like $20 million of, you know, cost or whatever. And it's crazy because you actually get to see all these different things that are really not necessary in a business. And you're like, okay, well, we can actually cut that. We can actually cut this, whatever. The crazy thing is too, though, is like a lot of it's jobs, which that actually ends up being, it's weird because you have to kind of dehumanize it and like just look at it as a number rather than this is a person's livelihood. Yeah. Which is weird, but it's really good for, someone who's an entrepreneur to be able to experience something like that,
Yeah, and to be exposed to all of those numbers.
It's good stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I was only there for 3.5 months, and then I decided to leave. I got a job offer back in more real estate related, and the thing with extended stay, I was in a cube all day by myself. Like at the startup company I first worked for, we had like rows of desks, and you would have someone like sitting right next to you and sitting on your left, sitting on your right. And then with the extended stay, it was literally a cube with 5-foot high walls, and you don't see anyone all day unless you go make an effort to go talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's meant to isolate you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's these jobs, like they really did help me out a lot though. Like even though I didn't really end up liking them, I learned so much about Excel and VBA, which Visual Basic. It's like for coding Microsoft programs. Yeah. And I learned so much about that. It was a really good experience for, everything I do now with keeping track of numbers or, even the file exchange or whatever, all that stuff. It just really helped out. But yeah. And then my third job, it was kind of like the startup. We were in this little room called the Fishbowl, and it had this glass. It was like this long hallway with these glass doors, and everyone would just walk by all day and just stare in at you. And so that was kind of weird, but it was better than being in a cubicle, better than, being in the fraternity house environment of the startup. Yeah. And 6 months into that job is when I found dropshipping, because ultimately I was happier at that third job, but ultimately I knew that I wasn't like fully fulfilled. Yeah. And I just kind of thought, all right, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like I need to find something. I want to make my own schedule, all that. And on top of that, just to tell you something also about my life, my brother, he was a professional poker player. He made millions of dollars, like between 2008 and 2012. Mm-hmm. So he was traveling, he was getting to live like a freedom lifestyle, all that. I was always super jealous of that. And that always,
so that always gave you a taste of that lifestyle.
Exactly. And I lived out in Vegas with my brother for like 2 months, and like I just saw how great it was to not have to worry about, having a job or like, whatever. But so that's kind of where I was. I 6 months into the job, I started Googling really hard on ways to make money online, all that, and I saw Matt.
At this point, how many years ago was this?
This was 1.5 years ago. Okay. Yeah. Or this was 2 years ago exactly is when I started
looking into things.
It was 2 years ago exactly is when I started that job at the third company I worked at.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I was always looking for a way to make money on my own. And I actually at this time too, I saw Matt Gambrell, who was the Amazon dropshipper. I saw his Facebook post about e-commerce and his like he had like 5 accounts that did $50,000 in sales in one day in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely mind-blowing to me. And I asked him what he was doing, and he said dropshipping. So then I just started Googling that term, like dropshipping, like trying to figure out what it was and all that. And I took the David Vu course in January of 2017. And I literally started like that course as like a New Year resolution. Like I am going to follow this course and do exactly what it says. And I am like, even if I don't think it's like showing results, I'm still just going to keep going and keep going. Yeah, like blind faith, because I had never I never really stuck to anything that was like an online business. Yeah. So, because I mean, I told you, I've always been in and out where I go like 0 to 100 and then I just like fall off. So I didn't want that to be a thing in 2017 with the dropshipping business. So I gave it my all. And 6 months after I started the course, I left my job, which was pretty exhilarating.
Yeah, that's definitely like being able to quit your day job 6 months after taking a course like that is quite unusual.
Yeah, and I actually think that it would take me longer now than then. I think the market's people sometimes overestimate how saturated the market is, but then they also underestimate how saturated the market is. I think January of 2017 was much easier to do the David Vu method than January of 2018 was. You know, like a year later. I can't say for a fact. I wish I could talk to somebody who started in January of 2018 and is like where they are now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I need to go on the David Vu forums and probably ask that question.
Yeah,
see if anyone's following.
That's the most valuable part of the course, because all the information in the course now is really easy to find online, but all of the questions in the community, you can find pretty much any answer to any possible question about dropshipping there.
Oh, it's so true. And it's crazy because a lot of the successful YouTube dropshippers all started sort of around the same time on that David Vu course.
Yeah, it's kind of surreal how many people took David Vu's course.
Yeah, I think it was like 30 to 35,000 last time I looked, people enrolled. Obviously with Udemy though, I don't know, I'm sure you know the statistics. How many people actually finish a course?
Depends on the course, to be honest. It also depends if it's a free course or a paid course. If it's a paid course, then much more of them are actually going to follow through. I personally haven't looked at my course to see how many people finish it. What I look at is average, like the average duration that they interact with the course.
Gotcha.
So for my course, it's like an hour and 30 minutes, something like that. And average is like 30 minutes.
Yeah. And how many hours of content is your course?
Like 7 or 8 probably.
Yeah, so people an hour and a half, that's wild.
Yeah.
So people pay and then just give up.
The average. Like,
yeah.
And it's still only a quarter of the course, you know. But my course is only $20, so when it's like a $200 course, you'd probably get a little bit better. People feel like they need to make it worth the money, so they're more likely to go through the whole course.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where did out of curiosity, how did you come across David Vu's course?
I think I had taken some courses on Udemy before where I was just learning Excel and like trying to get, more skills for my job or whatever at things like my resume. And I knew it was a good site for finding anything basically like you want to learn. And so I went there and I just typed in eBay dropshipping and I bought a few different eBay dropshipping courses because they were all like $10. They had like a New Year's resolution special going on where like everything
that is the most frustrating thing with me about Udemy. They act like their courses are never on sale, but like, okay, I've had a course for sale for like 10 months now, and it has never once sold at anything more than 20% of its full price.
Wow.
Like Udemy, or the thing is they'll be like, oh hey, this sale ends right now, and they place so much emphasis on the fact that the sales are ending, and then just a new one starts. It's so weird to me. Like, why don't they just make it a $10 course platform, or like why have this weird system where the instructor thinks that they have a $200 course when the reality is like it never does. Like David Vu told me that his course has sold for full price 1% of the time.
That's crazy. So you actually got to talk to him?
I mean, like Facebook Messenger. He's responded to me over like once or twice over a period of years.
Yeah.
I was trying to interview him. That would be gold.
He like disappeared from social media and all that, which is kind of interesting. If you look at his YouTube,
all, dude.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, like being completely public on YouTube, like it does things to your head. and like constantly being messaged by people on Facebook and like you have to develop a system to detach yourself from that. Otherwise it just gets way too overwhelming. And like that, I mean, I'm at a smaller scale than David Vu is. So like, I can't imagine like if I had 30,000 students. I have 1,000 students. So if I had 30,000, like, holy crap.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like a random person with, I have like 1,000 YouTube subscribers and I still get messaged 5 times a day. So I can't imagine having 10,000 getting messaged 50 times a day just off of that alone, you know?
Yeah.
But that's wild. That's wild.
So tell me about your YouTube channel. Like why did you start making YouTube videos? Because honestly, once you get to 1,000 subscribers, in my head, that means that you are in it and that you possess the ability to continue to grow. That's kind of the biggest milestone, in my opinion, is getting to 1,000 subscribers. Because for a lot of people, they do YouTube for like a year or two and never get to that point.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that I already had some really good connections, with Mark and even Paul. Like I met Paul, so January 2000. I met Paul in like March of 2017 when we were first. Like there were like actually 5 or 6 active people on the David Vu forum who were all like, feel like trying to make a name for themselves, whatever. It was me, Paul, John, Leon, Joanne, and this kid named Jeremy. This kid named Jeremy Boyle. And I kind of tried to reach out to all of them, whatever, and talk to them. And so I got some good connections from that. And then with Matt's partners with Mark on DS Genie, or like a small partner with DS Genie. So me going down to Nicaragua, first of all, I was always watching YouTube dropshippers to try to learn as much as I can. So I found that, really interesting and really helpful right there. And I knew I wanted to do it one day eventually. I just didn't, I never really took any action before going down and visiting Mark and, seeing you and Mark and Carlos and Becky and, whoever else came and had a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was just something I needed to do after I left Nicaragua. I was like, all right, well, all these people obviously are doing this for a reason. Like I've wanted to do it. One of my passions really is teaching people. So having a platform to be able to do that on for free is pretty amazing. And I got lucky, like I said, with Mark, because I immediately was able to, I asked Mark, I said, do you mind, me posting in the Honest Dropshippers group, like some of my videos when I start, try to get like a base. And the first video I posted, I got 100 followers over the course of like the next 48 hours.
That definitely simplifies. So you never had to go through the creation process with 1 or 2 subscribers and no one watching your videos.
No, not really.
Lucky.
The first video I posted, I had like 500 views in the first week or something.
Yeah. It's really interesting that, like, because I pay attention to like the different like people who do YouTube videos about dropshipping, because that's it's what I do. So, but it's interesting that the amount of views that dropshipping videos of that nature get isn't very dependent on the number of subscribers that the user has, which is quite interesting to me. Like it is affected by the number of subscribers, but in general, if you do a really solid dropshipping video, it'll get about 1,000 views in 1 to 2 weeks, regardless to like if you have a huge following or a smaller following. Obviously, if you have a huge following, it makes it easier, but it shows you that there is a kind of an amount of people watching YouTube videos related to dropshipping, and they'll just watch everything that they can get their hands on. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's I was definitely one of those people when I first started. Like literally anything that had the word eBay dropshipping in it in the title, I was like trying to find it and watch it. So, but yeah, it's a good way to learn. I mean, it's a good way to
best way to learn.
For sure.
To get tons of stuff inside out to talk to others about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the main people I watched when I first started was definitely you and then John Leon. So, but John Leon I feel like is just one of those guys who's like literally in it to just sell people something. other than just make a name for himself. You know, so I stopped watching his YouTube videos. But yeah, the amount of free information you gave away on like bulk and all that was definitely beneficial for me, because it just expanded, you know, my mindset to where I realized that David Rue always preached this anyway: the bigger the store, the bigger the paycheck. But he was using an optimized method, and then it's like, well, the bigger the store, the bigger the paycheck. But does it really matter how optimized the items are? And I mean, I've come to find out, you know, through trial and error, and also watching, you know, some of your struggles with it, which I appreciate that you know share.
Yeah.
There's definitely, you have to be somewhat concerned about cost efficiency, and you have to have some sort of optimization. Like I only have 31,000 items. I mean, that's still like, people are mind blown at that.
Yeah.
But that's nothing for, I wanted to be at 200,000 items, but then when the eBay algorithm changed, I went from 50,000 items down to 25,000 items, like over a week period, because I just I wasn't sure what eBay was doing, you know, so I kind of freaked out. But yeah, my goal is to get back up to 50,000 really quickly, but yeah.
See, it's the amount of listings in a store is funny, because when it comes to like bulk work, optimizers typically hear like 50,000 listings, and then in their head that is like working all day, every hour of every day. And it's like, and it's funny because I've had conversations with people where I can tell that they think that I'm like working all day, every day, and not earning much. And it's like, I don't really work that much, like at all. Like, it's important to know that.
I list items once a week, and when I list items, I mean, I'm listing thousands of items at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really not much work at all. Yeah. But you're just learning how to like filter links and stuff like that, which is interesting.
Yeah, a lot of it's about learning to manage. Because I don't know if this will ever happen, but I want to run a store with 1 million items at one point, and the enterprise update definitely makes that much more feasible, because you're increasingly incentivized to have a bigger store. Like after the first 100,000 items, it's only 2 cents an item, which is like, that's less than half the price it used to be, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
But I don't know if that would ever happen. But at that point, you have to get so good at like working with lists of 100,000 items where you don't know what's in it, but you have to be able to get rid of the bad things and figure out what the good things are. And like, that's what's kept me into it. It's just knowing that like that's a challenge, and that knowing that will always deter people means that if I can figure out how to do it reliably, it's more likely to be reliable in the long term, because there's such a high barrier of entry. So you can't just do it. You know, you have to make a year-long plan and set things in motion and get the account big enough, and also grow your ordering accounts to be like reliable, where the source isn't going to just cancel your orders if you place 30 in a day. And you know, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, it's interesting to me you picked Walmart as the main source.
That is one of the things that's holding my profitability back, because it's one of the most competitive sources.
Yeah, well, you would think Amazon's competitive too, but just the Prime free shipping and all the different, there's so many softwares out there for Amazon, but there's not that many for Walmart for product research. Everything product research related, you have to manually put in the link for Walmart, whether it's like, you know, uploading in bulk to Hydra or, you know, whatever. But with the other softwares for Amazon, you literally can put a page of items in, like from Amazon, and it can scan in eBay and tell you which ones are already selling well. You know, so that's why bulk, I think you need a source that has a lot of software that works with it well.
Yeah, because otherwise, the Amazon stuff is for FBA. It's absolutely huge, and there's tons of software to get information, like tons.
Yeah, and like with you, you're kind of creating your own, or like, you know, not your own software, but your own like programs with like or processes with spreadsheets and like filtering stuff and whatever, using VLOOKUPs, or I don't know exactly your process, but I'm just guessing, you know, that's whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. You're definitely taking the hard road, but I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, that's a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
So.
And it works for me because of the like there was a period of my life where I was lost, and I felt really alone, and I didn't relate to anybody in my life, and I didn't know what to do. I wanted to change it. And I literally viewed, I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but if I post tens of thousands of items, I can get attention on YouTube, and maybe that'll change my life. And I didn't know about Grind Camp. I didn't know about Nicaragua, but all of that enabled me to do that. And it's funny that a lot of life is like that. Like, you don't necessarily know how things are going to be playing out. Or how things will play out. It's all about being able to put yourself out there and make yourself accessible, you know, despite that you don't know what's going to happen.
I agree. I didn't think I'd have 1,000 YouTube subscribers and like be able to actually help people or anything this quickly, but it's nice to make those human connections, even though there's a lot of people that annoy you probably and blow you up on a regular basis. And Facebook, it's still nice to, you know that you're doing something for people. But yeah, it's so cool. YouTube's a platform.
How do you feel is there any part of you that's like sensitive to comments or is overwhelmed in any way as your YouTube channel's growing? What do you think about your future? Like, what goes through your head there?
Yeah, so I laugh because of your sensitivity comment. Like, it's so funny because there's always trolls, man, always. And what the last troll comment I got, actually, let me pull it up on my phone real quick and read it. So I get the exact wording because it's pretty funny. It's short, but it's funny. It was basically, I got it. All right, so this guy commented and he said, "Your hairline is receding just like your views. Drop scam Tyler. Quit appearing on my feed, you wretched scammer!" Exclamation mark, exclamation. And I was like, holy shit, like I can't believe someone thinks A, I'm scamming them, and B, I've always had a far back hairline. It's not receding. It's literally been this far back my entire life.
Aren't you in their feed because they clicked subscribe? Like, or are they just subscribed to other channels and you're related
exactly. It probably comes up as related videos. But nothing I have ever done is really ever trying to sell anyone anything.
Yeah.
The only thing
you don't even have a product that you're selling.
I don't. I mean, the only thing I do is put an affiliate link for the software I use in there, and that is 100% like the software I use, you know? So like I'm not really taking away, or I'm not really trying to sell anyone anything that I don't trust. Yeah. Or like I'm, whatever. So it's like, why? And first of all, you don't even need the software that I use or that you use to watch your channel or to watch my channel. The concepts can be applied to any software, right? So it's kind of funny to me that someone just takes the time to like go and post a random comment that they probably don't even watch my videos. I probably just appear and they're just like, oh, an eBay dropship person? They're a scammer.
You know what's funny about that is that sometimes when you I'm starting to understand that a lot of comments on YouTube are made by very young people who don't, and a lot of times they are not expecting any kind of response or recognition. So there are times where like someone will say something mean, and then I'll respond and be like, "Man, that was mean," and then they'll be like, "Whoa, no, I didn't mean it that way," and it's like, "Wait, what? Like, what?" But it's comments like that I think are almost, because you have the ones that are so intense that it's almost easy to put them aside. But it's the ones that are more personal and aren't like, fuck you and everything you stand for. And they're like, those are the ones that kind of get to me a little bit. Like, and I went through that a lot because of all of the videos I did with Mark. Like, I've never tried to make myself appear that I earn a lot of money. Like, I've openly, when I went to Grind Camp, I paid for plane tickets instead of buying my eBay bill. That was something I talked about. I was very open to everybody about that. I don't live luxuriously. I don't dress really well. I don't have a car. Like, it's very obvious, But I think because I was doing so much videos with Mark and I was talking to him and we would be able to maintain conversation about these subjects, people developed this association that I was as wealthy as Mark. And then when they would find out that that wasn't the case, they were like, Jack's a liar. And then Mark kind of propagated that. And his channel was 2 or 3 times the size of mine. So it was definitely like being alone in Nicaragua without any of the people I knew, and then having this other big YouTuber shitting on me was really, really, really hard. And in a sense, I'm glad it happened because now it's like, you know, whatever. I went through that and that was way harder. But it definitely, like, putting yourself out there on YouTube like you do as well it's not always easy, that's for sure. And it's super beneficial, but it can be hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you've, you know, prospered even though that whole setback happened. So, I mean, when you went to Nicaragua, how many subscribers did you have?
I had like 2,000 when I first left.
Yeah. And you got like 9,800 now or something?
Yeah, almost 10K. I'm like real close, just a couple more days.
Nice. That's what's up, man. That's so, yeah, you still, you know, the whole trip, the whole experience obviously benefited you in the long run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If I could get shit on and, you know, get 10,000 subscribers, I'll take it. I'll do it too.
So what are you trying to do with your channel? Like, what's your goal moving forward with your YouTube channel? Yeah, so with YouTube, it's very interesting, and I've talked to Mark a little bit about this, and you know, he was saying, because he's got 21,000 subscribers, obviously he's done something right. Even though a lot of people still, you know, do hate comments about his cussing and, you know, whatever, they're still watching the content. And I've talked to Mark about, you know, what I need to do to build my YouTube channel and all of that, and just talked with other people as well who run YouTube channels. You have to really go deep into a certain subject before you can go wide, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm going as deep as I can into dropshipping, and I want to get a solid foundation of, you know, 5,000 to 10,000 people with just dropshipping content. And then from there, I also want to expand myself as I expand my channel. So in terms of other businesses that I could possibly move into, I want to kind of document my story or my journey in those other ventures that I go into. But I want like a solid following, at least in the beginning, with just dropshipping, right? Yeah. And maybe help as many people as I can with dropshipping. And then once I get to a certain point, go a little bit wider and be more related just about, you know, business in general. Yeah, so that's kind of my whole goal and my whole, I don't really know how I'm going to make money off of it. And at this point, I don't really care. I make enough money off of like dropshipping on Amazon and eBay that I don't need to worry about like making a course and selling it or putting a bunch of affiliate links in my stuff. Like, yeah. That's all great. I mean, it is great side money though. Like, there's no doubt about it. Even that link in my description right now that I use has made me like an extra $1,000 a month. Yeah. And that's with 1,000 subscribers. So it's pretty crazy. Like I said, though, I don't know how I'm going to actually make money from it in the long run. Obviously, there is an incentive to be able to make money off of it. But right now, I'm just kind of building the subscriber base and helping people. Yeah, but the networking that you'll get from it will lead to making more money. So you don't really have to know how you're going to make more money. Just keep. I mean, look at a guy like Steve Rankin Profit, right? Yeah. So that guy, he started as just a thrift store guy, right? Like selling stuff on eBay. And now he does like Amazon FBA, he does whatever, like private label, all that stuff. And then he just interviews people and sells their courses and all of that. Yeah. And he's got enough subscribers to where he doesn't have to, you know, ever do anything on eBay or Amazon again. He could just literally put affiliate links in there, interview people, have an affiliate link to courses, all of that, and make money. So yeah, it's crazy. Paul's a perfect example of that because Paul was interviewed by him, and Paul's dropshipping, you know, Titans course or whatever has just blown up since that happened. And his channel blew up right after Steve Rankin interviewed him. He got exposure to 90,000 people right away. Yeah, which is huge. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure Steve's making a nice profit on that as well, like by having, you know, the affiliate link and whatever. But I don't want to go that direction with my channel, but at the same time, I'm just saying there's lots of opportunities. Yeah, there's tons. To make money down the road, so you don't really have to give some reference. So I have a couple videos with Paul where I interview him or talk about his course, and I actually earn more money when somebody buys his course and I get an affiliate payment. I earn more money than when my own course sells, which is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. He asked me if I wanted to. This was back when he was making the course. He asked me if I wanted to do affiliate, and I was like, no. But I mean, I realized it is good money. But I want to be
just like if people were willing to sign up through it, and like the funny thing is if Paul has 2 courses now, right? So as long as they click up through your affiliate link, you get affiliate for everything that they buy. So like yesterday, somebody bought the $250 course and then $150 course. So they spent like $400. I got like 30% of that, and it was just like, or 20 or whatever it is. It's crazy.
But it's sick that Paul gets 70% of that. Like, God, he's making good money off that course.
Sure. And that's a $250 course, right? So there's a lot of courses out there that are way more expensive than that. My mother and her boyfriend paid $40,000 for an Amazon FBA. I think courses isn't the right word because it also include like plane tickets and a laptop, and it was like a package thing. But the people that they bought it from are now getting sued by Amazon and by Better Business Bureau, and it's like they're fucked. But the point from my mother and her boyfriend is that they can't retire. They have good jobs, but they can't retire. They cannot retire at their current pace, right? So they're trying to figure out something that will enable them to retire, which is why they're getting into the FBA. And for them, dropping that much money forced them to take it seriously and make it happen, even though at the beginning they were really uncertain about it. But now at this point, yeah, they may have dropped that much money, which is a lot. Like, it's hard to get that back. But now they are FBA sellers. That is a regular thing in their daily routine, and they are growing and improving. And honestly, for me, it's really cool because now I can talk to my mom about e-commerce. And so like whenever we hang out, we just talk about e-commerce. It's really awesome.
That's really cool. Does she do private labeling from China or?
No, they just they're looking into private labeling, but mostly they just do a bunch of product research, buy stuff, resell it. They try and find stuff that they can sell for 3 times the cost.
Nice. So yeah, retail arbitrage.
Yep.
That's what's up, man. That's really cool. That's awesome. But yeah.
Wicked. So that's about an hour. I'm happy to keep talking if there's anything else you want to chat about. Usually these videos are between 30 minutes and an hour. So.
Well, hey, if you're good with everything and you got all the information you needed out of me, then definitely we can end it.
Sweet. And so I'll put a link to your YouTube channel in the description of the video so people can find you. If there's any other place you want me to direct that traffic, whether it's like your email, Facebook, whatever, just let me know, okay?
All right, sounds good, Jack. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, you too, man. This was fun.
It was. All right, thanks.
Ciao.
Bye.